Hey everyone, I am your astrologer Brittany with Horoscope.com. Here are 3 things you need to know in order to make today, Thursday, April 25th, 2019, a success. Now the first thing I want to talk about is going to be right here where the moon is in Capricorn. When the moon's in Capricorn, it brings our attention to our career, our reputation, our social standing. Also brings our attention to some big questions we have about our life and where our life is going, as well as some big responsibilities that we may have weighing on us as well. Now, while that's going on, very first thing in the morning, we have this moon in Capricorn making a quincunx over here to Mars in Gemini. So we're trying to think more seriously about our life, to put more structures and plans in place that it is that we need to put our life in the direction we want it to go in. While that's happening, there could be a lot going on in our mind to the side. We could be thinking a lot about other things that we're not quite sure how to fit into our framework about where it is that we want our life and our career to go. We could be getting distracted by things in our periphery that are coming up in our mind or that are being told us by other people, and really needing to try the best that you can to focus early this morning, maybe while some of us are sleeping. This is going to happen very early, so that you can do the things that it is that you need and that are important to you. A few hours after this happens, now still while many of us are sleeping, maybe as we're starting to get towards the morning hours, this moon in Capricorn is then going to make a sextile over here to Neptune in Pisces. So even though there may have been a lot of stuff that came up right before bed and as we're sleeping on our mind that we're thinking about that are distracting in a way, I think as we start to wake up and as we start to get closer and closer to morning breakfast, we start to take some time out to figure out emotionally, spiritually, and personally what is really going on and what our soul really needs, and to understand some of those things. So I actually see this alignment being very, very positive here to help us make sense of what we're feeling and to put structures in place in our life that we need in order to support our own inner peace. All right, that's going to sit with us for a few more hours. The next alignment now is going to happen around breakfast time, as we're definitely getting up, getting going, and making things happen. The moon then is going to come off this sextile to Neptune and make a conjunction to Saturn in Capricorn. That is a more serious alignment, one that can bring a sense of emotional restriction or responsibility, especially since Saturn is a natural ruler of Capricorn and the moon is in Saturn's sign, giving us that double like Saturn Capricorn approach. So what we could be feeling is that after we've done a lot of thinking in the morning hours to figure out what we need to do to get right with ourselves, maybe then we make a decision to commit to doing something that we feel like is going to be better and helpful for us to put our life in the right direction. Okay. At the same time that's happening, still at breakfast time, this moon in Capricorn is also going to make a conjunction with the South Node, because the Saturn and the South Node are conjunct themselves. And what that could bring here is a little bit definitely of a feeling of frustration. This is kind of a complicated alignment because we have Saturn, the moon conjunct Saturn, which indicates what we need to focus on at this point in our lives to create a life that's going to be good for us. But then we have the South Node, which is the opposite, things you don't want to focus on. So it's like we're having to go back to the past to revisit old things and to make decisions about old things, maybe that we should have made decisions about a while ago, and to commit to these things in order to move forward. And perhaps that's what all these conversations that we had earlier in the day while we were trying to sleep were about. Maybe our mind was running about the past, about things we did or did not do. And maybe as we move throughout the day, we start to realize, well, this is what I needed to do. This is what my soul needs in order to feel comfortable that I should have done then. We start to do it, we commit to it, and then that's when things, even if they're frustrating for a moment, start to loosen up so that we can move forward feeling better. All right. That's going to happen there, and that's going to sit with us for a few more hours. The next alignment is going to occur right before dinner time. Right before dinner time, this moon in Capricorn is then going to make a conjunction here with Pluto in Capricorn, and they're all running very close to each other, Saturn, the South Node, and Pluto. And this again can bring up some very strong and intense feelings, especially Pluto can bring up fears and insecurities also, as well as Chiron, that could come up. So we may make some decision that we needed to make, that we avoided making for a long time, that now we're finally making here. I think it's going to feel good to commit to it, but it's going to feel frustrating because we got to go back to the past, and then it's going to create a big change in our life here. We're going to start to change the direction we thought our life was going in. Could bring up some hard things from the past that we have to deal with, could bring up some very strong emotions again. But I think really needing to let yourself clear out all this junk from the past, really needing to let yourself go back to the past to do things you should have done, to sit with that feeling of frustration so that you can know what you finally need and start to move forward. I almost feel like this alignment today is like a second chance. Yeah, that's how I want to call it, with the moon in this spot. The moon in this spot today, the first point I want to leave you with is like a second chance. If there's something you wanted to do a while back that you did not do, that you were afraid to do, that you couldn't do, that you hesitated to do, that you were scared to do, this moon today is saying now's the time to do it. Now's the time to do it. Okay, to go back to the past, to retrieve some things you were scared or forgot to do, and to make them happen once and for all. Could feel scary because you avoided to do them, because you waited, but it's necessary to move forward, okay? Once again, so that's what we've got going on there. Your second chance, don't miss your second chance to make some big moves. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is going to be here, number 2, the Mars coming into a square with Neptune today. This can bring up lots of conversations here about the past, about old things you should have done, about what's going on inside you emotionally and spiritually. I think it's a good time to talk about what you're feeling, to talk about what's going on inside you. However, those conversations may be a little bit confusing, especially if you're trying to talk about strategy and finite matters. Mars in a square with Neptune is not good for strategizing, good for talking about emotions, good for speaking about things from the past, not good for thinking about the future and how you're going to get things done. Okay, and I think needing to allow yourself, needing to not force yourself to put constraints and confines on things that are just now forming, or that are not yet ready to come out in certain ways. And I think if you can be patient, if you can be compassionate, and if you can listen to your spirit, your soul, and your intuition, and not force things, this alignment's going to go a lot easier. Especially because when Mars in a square with Neptune, it can make things hard to do. Yeah, it can make it hard to move forward. We're starting to get an idea, we're getting a second chance to do some things that it is that we need to do, but maybe we're not feeling as though the second chance is as if these things are taking hold in reality. And I think here, needing to understand the point at this moment in time is not for all the things that you're realizing to take hold in reality. The point at this moment in time is for you to finally commit to doing something you know you need to do, and then being patient as everything else over the course of the next few months falls together. Make the initial commitment that you need to change in your life. Communicate about the things from the past and about what you're feeling, but don't expect those things to happen in reality at this point in time. Now, the third and last thing that I want to talk about is going to be, where do I want to go? Maybe I'll go here, number 3. Venus and Mercury are moving past Chiron. This is a positive thing. The past few days and week or two, conversations with relationships, maybe even conversations about money or about yourself and your own identity could have felt uncomfortable. Now those things are starting to improve. Now that you've made some decisions that you needed to make, even if they had to be thrown in your face, even if the issues had to have been thrown in your face in order for you to realize what you needed to do, now that you're making some decisions that it is that you need to make, and you're talking about what it is that you really feel, and you're talking about your emotions, finally more of the understanding is going to come, and people are going to start to understand what you need, and conversations are going to get better and ease up, and you're going to start to feel more comfortable a little bit as things move forward. All right, so that is your daily planetary forecast for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you tomorrow.